Hi. Welcome to Inside Frame. If there was a pill that gave you powers, would you take it? Film opens with a man named Biggie unveiling a shipping container full of drugs to a gang of dealers in exchange for selling the pill. The vendors get it for free. One man, Newt, asks, "What's it called?" "This is Power," answers Biggie. "Oh, hey, that's the name of the movie." Next, we meet a young girl named Robin, rapping as she examines the power pill when a group of hooligans pull up on her turf. She confronts them, revealing that she has a gun behind her back. They call her bluff, and a third man blindsides her from behind. They want what she's selling, and they want it for free. The kids proceed to beat her up and take her pills. Suddenly, a man named Frank drives up on a motorcycle. He's a cop. One of the kids reaches for a pill, but Frank is quick to draw his pistol. As the kid prepares to take the pill, Frank warns him that he doesn't know what power he'll get, and there's a good chance he'll die. They play a little game of chicken before Frank ultimately snatches away the pill. Fortunately for the kids, he's only got one handcuff, which he uses on Robin. They run off, but then he lets her go. It turns out he's been buying power from her, along with criminals. To level the playing field, he decided to take down the drug. Before departing, Frank reveals that the bike he rode in on is a belated birthday gift for Robin. We cut to a man named Art walking through a rundown apartment complex with a gun in hand. He knocks on a door and is greeted by a gun-wielding Newt, who anxiously questions him and tells him to call his boss and tell him the major is here. While Newt runs off to make that call, Art slips a string over the chain to unlock the door. He investigates the home, which is in shambles, finding holes in the ground and even a pet alligator. Art finds Newt rummaging through a bit of burner phones. Newt sighs a pistol, but Art urges him to reconsider. He doesn't listen, and a small scuffle ensues. Before Newt seeks refuge in the bathroom, his phone rings outside, and Art exits. Newt whips out his stash of power pops, and a pill within moments. We're treated to a brilliant visual display as his fire-wielding powers manifest. Newt emerges engulfed in flames. He charges Art, who narrowly avoids his fiery wrath. Art responds with a blast to the chest, but this only seems to stoke Newt's fire. He flees as Newt pops 3 more pills. The fight continues in an apartment just below, with the residents dousing Newt with water. This buys Art enough time to set up a trap. Newt runs in after him and gets caught in a soaking wet jacket before being submerged in a tub of water. Art demands a name source while repeatedly dunking Newt. He coughs up a name, Biggie, before blowing up as a result of an overdose. During the explosion, Art is transported to a flashback where his daughter Tracy is taken from him following a car accident. The next morning, Robin wakes up for school and sees Newt's blown-up apartment on the news. It turns out he's her cousin. Robin's mom Irene tells her to check up on him. Later at school, she does just that, though texting in class earns her a stern warning from her uptight teacher. He bears her revealing, greeting the class upon questioning her on her life plans. Her friend chimes in, mentioning Robin's aspirations for a rap career. The teacher challenges her to make him believe she's got a shot, and he'll pass her with a scene exchange. What might be? Yeah, turns out that was all in her head, and she kind of just gets sent to the office instead. Yeah, that was a rhyme on Art's, and he thinks he pretends to be Newt and arranges a meeting. Meanwhile, Frank deals with an ongoing robbery. It's a tricky hostage situation, with one of the escapees claiming he got hit by a ghost. The police captain is seen arguing with 2 men in black suits as they take over the scene. Frank's having none of that and decides to take matters into his own hands. He pops a pill and sets a timer for 5 minutes upon entering. He passes by. The assailant is basically a chameleon. Frank takes a cheeky shot from behind before the man runs off. The chase ensues, and the invisible man ends up on a bus. He opens the bag of money, but a dye pack goes off, covering him in pink paint down there. Frank can see him. The rest is easy as pie, or maybe not. That's right, Frank's power renders him bulletproof. He recovers and finishes off Mr. Chameleon. After a quick checkup, Frank's boss sits him down and confronts him about his powers. Frank admits to taking the pill, and as a result, is stripped of his badge and gun. Though he makes a case for himself and wins the police chief over. The chief offers him a get-out-of-jail-free card in the form of a mission. All he has to do is capture this man, the source of power. Wait a second, That's Art already seen hanging around a diner, waiting for whoever he was texting to arrive. The hours passed before Robin finally shows up. She knocks on the bathroom door in search of a new cue and are into the fact that she's who he's looking for. He heads outside and waits while Robin returns to her bike, the tires off. Her bike has been slashed, and she's forced to walk it home. Along the way, Art subdues her and stuffs her in his trunk. Meanwhile, Frankie eats her up and leaves a message stating that he needs a refill. Art drives Robin to an abandoned location. And as she kicks and shouts, he tries to reason with her. After a little back and forth, she admits to the pushing power. He brings her to the passenger seat and presents her with a photo of who he thinks might be Biggie. She claims not to know. We cut to a brief scene of Biggie and his boss Dr. Gardner discussing their plans before he meets with a woman with deep ties to South American cartels. It's not just the product. These pills will topple governments. Back at the car, Robin's Frank, a sneaky text asking for help, or rather, Art tells her to focus on the task at hand and has her call a number he got off News phone. She says she has a problem, and the operator tells her to go to Hong Kong Market and ask for alligator wine. They pull up to the spot, and she heads in, Art trailing just behind. Upon asking about alligator wine, she's squirted inside. Meanwhile, Art helps a man pick out a sauce. I see, is it mild because I don't work here? Robin tells the man inside that the guy who killed Newt is here. He pops a pill and locks Robin inside before exiting. He pulls up on the man and holds him at scissor point, demanding to get some answers. Instead, a fight breaks out and Robin is left helpless as the room she's in is attached to a truck which takes off. She whimpers and takes cover from stray bullets. They turn the room into Swiss cheese as the last man standing peers through a bullet hole to check up on Robin. "Oh, you're still alive?" A flurry of shots is unloaded before the doorknob begins to rattle. Art stumbles in a bloody daze, confusing Robin for his daughter Tracy. The pair breaks into a locked room inside to find a computer station detailing an upcoming local demonstration of power. Art explains to Robin that the power is being funded by the government and tested on the people of New Orleans. Noticing Art's deteriorating condition, she runs back into the market. "Oh, he's still alive." Robin shouts for help, and the man answers her call. Art saves the day and finishes him off for good. "This time, I promise," he collapses as Robin prepares to break down the door. He begs for her help, and after offering her some money, she gives in. Some time elapses, and we see her stitching Art up at the vet's office. Her mom works there, they become friends, and she even shares some of her rapping skills with him. Meanwhile, Frank follows up on Robin's text and visits her home. Upon walking up to the door, he finds the same black suits from earlier antagonizing Irene. They insinuate that things could get ugly if her daughter doesn't turn up soon. Frank sneaks in through the bathroom window and quickly hatches a clever plan. He takes off his shirt, messes up his hair, and emerges from the bathroom. Get this man an Oscar. Irene is obviously flabbergasted but slips and calls Robin his daughter while he plants a kiss on Frank. Then he proceeds to be the first white man to play the race card. Are you assuming that me and this beautiful black woman wouldn't be able to share a happy home? Okay, we get a Netflix. He whips out his phone camera, and the men getting comfortable decide to leave after quickly explaining things to Irene. He runs up on their departing truck and sticks Irene's duct-taped phone to it. Frank follows the truck while Art and Robin drive off to the demonstration. Along the way, Art shares that he was experimented on in the military. They radiated his cells, and as a result, he developed powers. They took her from him, and he's just trying to get her back. They arrive and bump into one of the guys they saw at the computer earlier. Art sneakily pickpockets the keys to his bike and gives it to Robin. As the man falls to the ground, Art and Robin make their way to the event, and Robin buys a beer off a hobo before entering. She pretends to be drunk, and it proves to be an effective strategy. She walks in to find Becky giving a demonstration while his backers watch. They want to unlock the various powers seen in the animal kingdom. The woman is placed in a container, which he's happy to mention is identical to the one they have in the CIA. He pops a pill and develops ice powers, or rather thermoregulation. They turn up the heat to keep her comfy. Frank gets the attention of a guard, and before he knows it, he gets some new breathing holes brutally. Meanwhile, Frank has just arrived and is shocked to see Robin. There they argue back and forth about whether or not Art is a good guy. Remember, Frank still thinks he's the source of power back inside, and before beginning to close the deal, Art walks up and discreetly holds him at gunpoint. The woman notices the dead guard and shouts, prompting panic to set in the room. Everyone gets their guns out while Art holds Biggie. Huh? Sausage? The cartel lady tells them, all they want is the merchandise, cold. Suddenly, one of the men pops a pill and unveils his power, dying. Hell breaks loose as a shootout ensues. We watch from within the tank, which has lost power. The woman inside slowly freezes to death while the men outside engage in a death match. Art and Becky are the only ones left standing. He presents him with the same photo from earlier, but when he plays dumb, Art shoots his fingers off. Before he can lay him out, Frank steps in. He demands Art stand down, and he complies. Just kidding, Biggie. Captivated in the moment, we find out how he got his nickname. The pair book it out of there. While Art busts up some gas tanks, Frank snacks on Empower pills. As he leaves, Art fires a couple of shots, triggering an explosion that sends Biggie flying in chunks. To the dismay of Robin, Frank apprehends Art. She tells Art to share her story, but he tells her to go home. After they leave, Robin spots the man from the photograph and follows him. Meanwhile, Frank tells Art it's not too late for him to get out of this alive. He laughs, considering he's quite literally in the driver's seat of the situation. Art bets, and then in 30 seconds, his captain is going to tell him to stay put instead of bringing him in. Sure enough, that happens. Art explains that someone else is likely calling the shots and that this is all an operation to test out the power pills on human subjects. Wanting to help the people of the city, Frank agrees to a deal. Art asks if he's got any pills left, and we cut to a few moments later. Armed men surround the car, but Frank is gone. Some time elapses, and Robin is at a dock as a boat is preparing to take off with Art. Frank appears behind her. He's not pleased that she's there but nonetheless has her keep watch for him. He pops a pill and hams it up to the guard, but the guard isn't playing nice. Frank puts on his best Clint Eastwood impression, and it seems to work. Just kidding, Art's in charge of things. Dr. Gardner gives him a little spiel about how she's a pioneer. Before he can tell her to shove it up her, he's sent below the deck. Frank kicks some butt, and Robin hitches a ride on a car. They meet up in the control room. It's about Art, along with some guards, on the camera and let them through. Frank, once again, has her play lookout as he heads out in search of Art. Along the way, Robin spots Tracy, and Frank runs into trouble. Unfortunately, their earpiece breaks up, plus Robin has this to worry about. Fortunately, there's an intercom which he uses to shout out motivational words at Frank while he battles Stretchy Boy. You hear that? That's the sound of the most advanced tactical team in the world? No, I don't think it is. Before the behemoth of a man can bust in, Robin manages to help Frank defeat the Elastic Man. Upon barging in, the man finds the control panel busted, and Robin is gone, who is left to find Tracy. Meanwhile, Art intimidates his captors by revealing which animal he gets his powers from. He explains that he draws his power from the pistol shrimp, a creature with the ability to snap its claw so fast that it causes shock waves that reach temperatures comparable to that of the sun. Fun fact, this is real. Anyway, he has been hiding a pill in his mouth the whole time. The guards let him go, and the big hedge arrives with the help of Frank. It blows a hole straight through the hedge's chest. Robin manages to get a hold of Tracy, and everyone makes their way to the lifeboat. Though they run into a Wolverine ripoff, instead of Ari and Robin, who stays behind a Whoop It's Behind. Later, they go to join Tracy and Frank in the boat. However, Robin gets caught out, and they hold her hostage, prompting Art to confront them. He gives them one final chance before ingesting the pill he's been saving and unleashing his devastating power. He retreats to a really display of destruction as Art decimates everything around him. Afterward, he collapses, and Robin runs up to him. Tracy joins them and shows off her power of healing. That's convenient. The group returns to the lifeboat and sets sail towards freedom. In the aftermath, we see that Frank has decided to go public with the story, and Robin goes on to pursue her rap career, ending up on the radio. Good for her.